Today's episode is brought to you by Studio. Use the discount code LARGEMARGE when you purchase your headphones and get 15% off any purchase.
Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We liked our movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained as pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the feeling bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey, hey.
Buffy?
You're one of those skanky old men that, like, attacks little girls and stuff, right? Well, forget you.
My name is Merrick, and you have been chosen, Buffy.
Chosen to go to the graveyard. Why don't you just take the first runner-up, okay?
Everything depends on you, Buffy. Now, you must come with me now to the graveyard while there's still time.
Time to do what?
Time to stop the killing. To stop the vampires.
All right, let me get this straight, okay? You want me to go to the graveyard with you because I'm the chosen one and there are vampires?
Yes.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santos podcast, your favorite podcast where two Sweetie sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweetie.
And I'm Sweetie.
And tonight, we're doing a little special episode live from Hingham, Massachusetts.
We're on the road, kids. We're on the road.
We're touring.
Really, we're just dog sitting / house sitting. So
For the Contis. Hello, Contis.
yeah, hi Contis, family members, fans of ours.
Shout out to having a DVD player.
Yeah, so this really worked out because if y'all remember, we've been wanting to do Buffy the Vampire Slayer since like the beginning of fucking time.
Yeah. Right?
Problem is, can't get it.
The rights have been destroyed, and I don't know what.
Probably fucking Joss Whedon, that faux feminist.
Well, it's interesting because the whole TV show, I think, is available on Hulu, maybe Netflix, whatever.
He probably
But you
doesn't want it
can't-
out because he doesn't like this version of it and wants the TV show to
Maybe.
like trump anyone's memory of Buffy, right?
Could be. Anyway, so in case you didn't know, tonight we watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
And sorry, just to continue that story. So like, can't get it for like fucking ever. Like I remember one night we sat down and we were like, yeah, what can we watch? We're so excited. Didn't do any research and couldn't find it anywhere. And we're like, that's weird. Because it like, okay, maybe you can't find stuff on streaming, but you can rent pretty much everything, right? Mm-hmm. Could you buy it?
No, nothing.
Yeah, you couldn't even buy it. So there's no option to get it like something just like directly added to your TV or whatever at all. So we're like, fine, we'll get a DVD. Fine. And then we were just like lazy, but also then remembered we didn't have a DVD player. Oops. And that's like a weird thing now because like I thought my computer had a DVD player. I never used it, but like I just assumed it did. And then I was like, holy shit, like I don't have a disk drive, which
Nobody
is pretty
does.
common
Yeah,
for
they don't.
computers
They
now.
stopped making them for the most part.
Where have I been? Seriously. I know. Anyway, so long story short, our awesome friend Sarah, hey Sarah, found us this movie. I believe she got a copy from her friends. Whoever that friend is, you rock. Sarah, you rock. And we are able to bring you guys Buffy the fucking Vampire Slayer. I just added fucking in there.
I know. Made in 1992, starring the beautiful Kristi Swanson, Donald Sutherland,
Luke Perry.
and Paul Rubens, and Rutger Hauer.
Yeah.
So, wow. Pretty good cast.
Good cast for what? I don't know. I mean, I know whenever like you watch films later, you're like, was this one everyone was like super excited to do? And they were like, oh yeah, like, you know, running to get to these parts, or like were people like, oh my God, that Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie's coming out. Like, can't wait to see it?
No, I mean, I don't think movies were given the same marketing status unless they were like specific, like Ghostbusters or you know, Star Wars, like that kind of thing. Right. So I don't know.
So
I don't think the movie was very well received. So I don't know.
All right. So childhood thoughts initially on this film.
Go. Okay. So I love this movie a lot. I thought she was a great role model for me as someone who strove to be beautiful and kick butt. It was really those were like my two goals in life. I was like, I want to be super hot and kick ass. And you guys, you can.
Yes,
like,
you can.
This movie proves it. So yeah, this movie inspired me to play several games of pretend I'm Buffy the Vampire Slayer when I was little. But I was also very scared of it. I thought there were a lot of really scary scenes, and so it was one of those movies that was just like, I love this, but I'm so scared.
I was super terrified, and like we've had the vampire like resurgence, right? Like in the past, I don't know, 10 years, True Blood, Twilight, right? But then there was like a time in the 90s where it was also like heavy vampire times. I remember like the Bram Stoker with like Winona Ryder came out. This came out. Anne Rice, Interview with a Vampire. Like, so there was like another like kind of vampire bump, let's say.
Boom.
And I remember being part of that as a kid because I was so fascinated by vampires. I really liked them, but so terrified, had such trouble watching these movies. Like, I don't know if they felt more real to me, that they like actually like almost like, you know how I've talked about movies with ghosts and how those are my favorite horror movies because it seems real, like that could actually happen. And that's what scares me. Did I think vampires could actually happen? Maybe.
Well, in this one, all the vampires are like her former classmates.
Right.
So maybe that was why
but
it scared
but
you.
Also, I think like I have you know how my like number one fear violence wise is like throat slitting.
Yeah.
Okay. Other than being shot in the head, but not myself personally, but like seeing it happen. So throat slitting like kills me for two reasons. Okay. First of all, I think one is vampires because that's like kind of related, like something with your throat. But also if you've ever seen Braveheart, there's so much throat slitting in that. And I saw that as such a little kid and it traumatized me. Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
This is what goes on in my head.
Apparently.
Small little sneak shot in there. But yeah, I remember tried to watch Interview with a Vampire and being like totally traumatized by that. I should watch that again, or should I not? Anyone?
We'll see. I mean, it's worth it alone for the gay vibes.
Yeah.
So great. Anyway, so I think we should wrap it up.
I like the beginning segues. I like them. Segues, intros.
Let's get into the meat.
Okay, I think you mean the plot.
Is that the phrase? Yeah, the plot.
It's time for the
sweetie synopsis.
Yeah. Sweeties.
I like try not to prepare these so I can just be like totally off the cuff, but now I'm like, do I know like a big line from this one? What's your damage? Okay. I wrote down some Valley Girl
You didn't use any of those
phrases. I'll repeat them later.
Buffy Summers is a high school senior.
Wait, did you know that they don't mention her last name in this film?
But when one of the synopsis on IMDb did, so I was like, fine, I'll just do it. But we'll call her Buffy.
It could have been Buffy no last name.
Fuck. Edit that. Buffy, no last name, is a high school senior in Los Angeles, California. And she's living the dream, the high school dream. She's like a valley girl. She's going to the mall with her friends. They go to the movies. They talk during the movies. They don't give a fuck. Wearing cool outfits, loafers with socks, whatever. She's having a great time. Mm-hmm. One day, a weird old man approaches her in the mall, and he doesn't say anything to her, but she just looks at him and like thinks of something, like she knows him. Little by little, we get snippets, Buffy's past dreams, herself as a slave girl, herself as a peasant girl, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, where am I going with this? And then, but we're also treated to spooky things. So spooky spookersons are happening around the town. People are getting killed. Their bodies show up like in murdered. The dunes, merds. They got like gross throat wounds, neck wounds. What can only be described as a really gross hickey. And so that's weird. So one day after cheerleading practice, this old man, and I say old, but he's probably like 50-something. Yeah. He's scruffy. So he approaches Buffy in the gym.
What a homeless, as I believe is what they refer to him as.
Homeless. Which is fair. Like, I feel like Merrick could take some classes in like how to be less creepy. Yeah. It might work in his favor.
He's so old.
Is he?
Well, he's reincarnating, but like he's still the same person.
I have so many questions about that, which we'll talk about. Anyway, so he approaches Buffy when she's like practicing her tumbling skills in the gym by herself, and he's like, you're the Slayer. Like, come with me to the graveyard. Like, that's what he opens with. Come with me to the graveyard. Mm-hmm. Like I said, he could stand to take a couple classes.
Yeah, he's a weirdo.
She's like, what? Ew, gross. You're a rapist. And then she like turns to leave, and he's like, have you ever dreamed you were somebody else? She's like, yeah, everybody has. And then he's like, no, somebody from a long time ago. And then he names all these dreams that she's been having, like a peasant girl, a slave girl. And she's like, oh my God, how does he know? So that convinces her to go to the graveyard. At the graveyard, what happens?
So she's sitting there like cross-legged. He's like, here, have this wooden stake. And she's like, okay.
All right. He like still hasn't told her.
Yeah.
Does he? Oh yeah, he does say you have to help rid the world of vampires in the beginning. Maybe I don't know.
He says your.
But he's not like we're waiting by this
birthright is in a graveyard.
Oh yeah. Oh no, he does tell her that that this guy just died and they're waiting for him to wake up. But it's not like this is what's gonna happen. Stay calm. Nothing like that.
Yeah, but she like really goes along with it, which is like pretty cool. But also, I think it like she knows like basically there's a familiarity to him that underlying she senses because they have known each other in past lives, even though like hers herself doesn't know it. Like in her like soul that keeps getting regenerated does.
True.
So she's sitting on this grave, like hanging out, and the guy pops out from the grave. She's able to figure out that she needs to, stab a stake in his heart, and then this other person pops up too, and like so it's this whole like vampire tussle between like Merrick and her and the two vampires. She kills both of them, and then it just kind of dawns on her, okay, this is like real shit. Shit's going down. So he's like, okay, like I want to train you, like come on, like meet me tomorrow at like whatever 4:00. She's like, I can't. I have cheerleading practice. So she's like kind of fucked up because she's like, what just happened to me? Like my whole life was like this and now it's something different. Goes to bed, kind of tries to forget about it. She has a dream though, doesn't she? That's when she has a dream with the red headband.
Yeah. So she like is this like this weird dreamy sequence where she's like getting ready for bed and then like sits in her front of her mirror and takes this like long red ribbon, puts it in her hair and ties it. And I'm thinking like, what? Who ties their hair in a ribbon before they go to sleep? Weird. So she goes to bed, lies down, and she's fucking lying on a guy, the scary vampire guy from all her dreams, Lothos. So Merrick tells her a little about him. He's like, he's like the nemesis that you have to like encounter when you're ready and like fight him, and then like one of you will die, blah blah blah. She's like, oh okay. So Merrick, she blows off Merrick, goes to cheerleading practice. He finds her in the locker room, is like, you have to do this. And she's like, I don't want to. I want to like be a teenager and grow up and marry Christian Slater and die. Like, is that so hard to understand? He's like, okay, fine. If you don't want to come, that's fine. And then she's like, great, bye. And then he's like, oh, one more thing. And then he takes a knife and throws it at her head, and she catches it right before it like hits her, like with like the point sticking to her face,
her eyeball.
And he's like, bravo, like only the Slayer can do that. It's like, what a shitty test. Like that's the test. Like either the mole or I throw this knife at your head and see if you catch it. I was like, what? So she's freaked out, but like punches him and then feels bad and then changes her mind.
Yeah. Well, that like just makes her see, okay, like I am meant to do this, because that was like one hell of a freaky thing. And like I think the reason like she wasn't sold on it initially was that she didn't believe in herself, but like it's like that needed to happen for her to like believe that she could be the Slayer, because like she was just like, okay, this is like some crazy weird old dude. So then then comes everyone's favorite part, the training montage. Good training montage. So there's this like I don't know, Merrick has this like pretty cool home gym, let's say.
It's a warehouse?
Yeah, it's a warehouse.
Like
where they have like a climbing ropes, climbing wall, a punching bag, tires on the floor.
Dummies.
What is the tire thing? Like coordination? Like in football, like training montages, they do that too?
Like lifting your legs up
She does
quickly.
a lot of punching. This is like pre-Tae-Bo, but it's basically like Tae-Bo class with Billy Blanks. Like, let's be honest, because you
I
just
didn't
like
see any speed bags.
No, there was no speed bags, but she just like
Well,
you do the
classic.
open hand punch. Like, what's that about? What's that?
Yeah, it's
What's
called
that, a block?
It's called like fighting. It's like Tae-Bo is based on. Whatever.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But to me, that just screams like Billy Blanks Tae-Bo. Did anyone else do those videos like incessantly?
I did.
My gym class
Hello,
did
I
Tae-Bo.
did. I still have one.
Oh my god, remember this move? You can't see what I'm doing, but like, remember that move?
The cross punch? Yeah. No, I like the speed bag. You like always
speed
you, like,
bag
hit yourself in the face.
Exhausting.
Like,
Oh my god. One time,
speed bag.
okay, small story. So one time, like the local cable access channel was like doing some sort of like video about like local gym classes and what they were doing or something, and like they brought in a camera and we had to like taped our Taibo class, and all I remember is doing this feedback and I hit myself in the face.
I wish you recorded that.
I know. Where is that video?
Wasn't that Nauset News?
No, maybe it was not. News. So it was our like high school.
We were like,
access.
everybody watch it. Oh man, I was an anchor. I was a reporter on Nauset News. It was fun.
So yeah, so training montage, and who knows how long it goes? Like, you know, weeks,
unsure.
months. Well, maybe it's like months because all of a sudden it's like the spring dance. So you know, maybe it was like a while. But it's like LA, so you never know like what the fuck season.
That was just the senior dance. Wasn't the spring dance a different one?
Was like a while away. Okay, so let's say it's like a few weeks. So she's training her butt off. In the meantime, like kind of ignoring her classes, ignoring her loser boyfriend. Okay, like not worth anything, and her friends who suck anyway. So it's not like she's like really missing out, because I think Buffy realized that like her life as she knew it was like pretty dumb and shitty, and this gives her like real meaning. Anyway, so yep, she's all done with training, and then there's like a couple like more tests, like she fights an actual vampire too, right? And in the meantime, and we forgot to mention this, but there's like sort of a side plot where her love interest gets, not her loser boyfriend, the other love interest, aka Luke Perry, aka Dylan from 90210,
aka Pike, as he is known in this movie.
Wait, what was Dylan's last name? Dylan McKay.
Yeah. So she meets him early on. He's with his friend David Arquette, Benny, at the movie theater, and then his friend gets turned into a vampire earlier on, and he's kind of freaked out and kind of knows something's up. And then when Buffy's training, she meets him in a field when he's encountering the Paul Rubens vampire, and she saves his butt. Like takes him home, is like, you can crash here, blah blah blah. So they kind of form this like bond of like the two people that know, the only two people that seem to know and understand what's going on. So they kind of get closer and closer.
Yeah, I feel like he's like immediately interested in her, and she's like, "What the fuck, dude? I don't have time for this
but
shit."
Only when he realizes that there's more to her than like being a valley girl.
Oh yeah, no. But like that, and it's as soon as like basically she saves him, because he's like totally coming on to her on the time when he's like staying over her house. Like he's flirty McFlirtster.
Yeah, but they just went through a traumatic event. Like she doesn't want to fucking like make out.
But like, remember when she's like icing her elbow? He gets so close to her, and it's like, dude, she's trying to ice her elbow. Like, go away. And you can see it in her face. She's like, I don't have time for this bullshit. Sorry.
Yeah, she's upset. I mean, this is her main conflict, is that like she's upset that her like childhood or whatever that is, what is that called? Her youth is like gone, and she has to like do all these things and like equate it to realizing that you're not a kid anymore and being like, fuck, life sucks as an adult, and you like have to pay for all this shit and you can't go back to things.
Sucks. But wasn't she kind of already, because she had like absentee parents, they were never around.
Yeah, but
like,
for the most, but she was still like the most popular one of her friends, the most popular girl, blah blah blah. She was the most popular girl. So cute. Cut to one night in the Pasadena ferry float lot, and Buffy actually meets Merrick, meets Lothos. And Merrick is there, and he's like, Lothos, she's not ready yet. It's not ready for time for this. And then Lothos kills Merrick, and it's very sad, and Buffy gets very upset and like goes to his weird warehouse and like hugs his pillow, which just like kind of creeped me out when I was little. I was like, what is this? Calm down.
He was the one person that understood her.
I know. I think Luke Perry understood her, but I'm just saying.
By the end, yes.
Anyway, so she's like, fuck this shit. Like, I'm going to dance. Like, life's too short. Like, I don't want to lose what I had. She buys a dress, goes to the dance. Her friends, like, hate her now because she's so different and, like, hasn't hung out with them, blah, blah, blah.
Her boyfriend
dumped her for the ditzy girl.
Well, really just broke up with her answering machine.
Right. And then is going out with the dumb ditzy girl who had no personality in their group. Just followed everyone else. And then, so she's at the dance. Guess who walks in the door? Luke Perry. He steps up to the plate. He's like, I like this girl. I want to help her. Thank God he's there. You know why? Because he brings a backpack full of steaks.
Well, right, exactly. He like literally carved up. What is that called when you like make something pointy? Carved up, let's say, every like stick-shaped thing in his house. It was pretty cool. You only see like one thing, but you kind of like get the drift that he like basically went through his whole house and was like, what can I make into a sharp stick?
It's gotta be a hardware store. You can buy like things of sheets of wood. I don't know.
Well, he probably doesn't have any money. He just quit his job at the garage. I mean, his band's broken.
Back. He was gonna leave and then he's back. Anyway, so they're at the dance, and then vampires crash the dance because they found out Buffy's name, which means she's unmasked, so now they can go get her. So the vampires, unfortunately, were invited in because they're all seniors, so they would have been invited. They were invited to the dance. So Buffy goes to kick some butt, goes outside, follows the Paul Rubens guy, his character name is weird. I'm just gonna call him Paul Rubens. She follows him, stabs him, and then meets Lothos for their big showdown. And he kind of hypnotizes her and does this weird thing. He whips out the red ribbon again. He's fucking obsessed with that. And then he's about to bite her neck when the power goes out at the dance, which stops the music. And so this reminds her of something Merrick told her when he was dying. He was like, when the music stops, and then silence, which we'll talk about that in Sweet Confusion, but still don't understand that part. And so she's like, the music stopped. I get it now. I don't get it. And then she goes back to the dance and make sure that Luke Perry's fine. He's fine. Yeah, great. And then Lothos busts through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man and is like, here I am. And then they have this confrontation. It should be exciting. It's not. Spoiler. She ends up staking him within a second. Big deal. And then all is well. And she drives off on Luke Perry's motorcycle. Hallelujah. Oh.
Again. Yeah. This movie went by so quick. I did not remember it feeling this short. I don't think we looked up the running time, but it felt like a blink. And yeah, the ending was super anticlimactic. Wow. That should have been kind of the best part for me was when all the vampires, high school age vampires are breaking into the crashing through windows and dragging girls through windows, and one becomes the DJ. We'll talk about that later. And that part was so exciting and kind of scary. But then the actual showdown with the main vampire guy is the lamest thing.
Super lame. I thought she was going to impale him with the California flag.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh, that's the Patriot.
And the end fight scene, there's there's 3 punches thrown, and then all of a sudden he's dead. And then he's like, oh no. And then just die. I don't know. It felt strange. It felt odd.
Love fight scenes where your entire school is watching. I'd always fantasize that I was a really good fighter and my whole school rallied around me to watch me beat some villain. Oh my god, I fucking loved it. But yeah, it's super anticlimactic. Okay, so I would like to start with a quick rundown of my scariest scenes.
Okay.
So sweetest scariest scenes. Here they are. And I'm going to say these all, and then we'll talk about them. Any ones you want to in particular. Maybe ones that you agree with.
Gotcha.
Okay. 1, super pale, weird, Puritan-ish-esque vampire in the beginning dream sequence. Vampires in Luke Perry's mirror. They're not there when he looks in the mirror. Obviously, they don't have a reflection. And then he looks behind him, and there's 2 scary vampires walking towards him. I hate that part. The ribbon scene where she puts it on and then is lying on this guy all of a sudden. Floating Benny outside of Pike's window. The amusement park shortcut that Paul Rubens just casually is sitting on the carousel at. Scary. People floating in general don't like, and the vampire DJ.
Okay. Yeah, good call. I'll just add to that. Wait, when Benny gets killed, is that one of them? Okay.
Oh wait, floating Benny.
Well, floating Benny, but also
floating
when
in general.
Benny gets killed, just gets dragged
that
away.
scene's scary.
Yeah. Yeah, that one. Basically that's it.
Okay.
Again, yeah, I just felt really creeped out by this movie as a kid, and then now it's really different because it's so much. Maybe it's just the humor in it really offsets. No one seems that scary because they're all pretty funny. Even the main vampire guy is pretty funny.
Yeah, and
so I feel that's how they kind of.
Yeah, and when you're little, you're just focusing on the scary part because maybe you don't get all the jokes or you're not understanding that brand of humor or whatever. But there's just something about super pale vampires wearing weird hats that really upsets me. So this Puritan vampire in the beginning is, I think, a woman, although I don't think I knew that when I was little. I just thought it was a creepy ass guy, which maybe that's why I thought it was so scary now that I think of it. But so she crashes out a window in the beginning. She's got this terrible peasant wig on, and this group of vampires walks up, led by Paul Rubens, and the vampire next to him is this woman, And I feel like some vampires' ears are like more pointy and scarier than other vampires, but maybe it's just because of the hat. But she's wearing this like little like Puritan hat, and it's scary. I just hate that vampire so much.
Weird.
And I also hate the vampire DJ, which we both had a negative reaction to. And it's because of his hat. He's wearing a pork pie
It's the pork pie hat, man. That is the worst. And if you remember, like the 90s was like a time for like a lot of odd hats. I feel like everyone was like wearing the hats. And for some reason, the fucking pork pie came back, which like, when did that hat start? I don't know, 50s maybe? Was it 50s? Oh,
I don't know, but it's the worst.
God, it's the worst look. And that vampire DJ is like, has the vampire teeth, but in his real life, I think had a horrible overbite anyway. The bad teeth, all this weird jewelry on. He's super pale. Ugh, and he's playing the worst songs. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
We don't know. But yeah, like all these scary scenes had some like root affected me in my like real life, I think. That scene where Pike is in his van and he looks in his mirror and no one's there and he looks behind him. So do you ever like get in your car? No, we don't have cars, but when you had a car and it was like dark, especially on Cape Cod where there's like not any street lights, and you like look up behind you to like back up, I would always imagine just like vampires being there and like not seeing them in the mirror, and it's so scary. And then the other thing that always I had a hard time with was when she puts the ribbon on and then goes to sleep. Every time I lay down in my bed, I'm like convinced there's going to be a scary man behind me.
Every night? That seems a little bit excessive.
No, but if I just like think of this scene, I'll just be like, ugh. It's just like gave me a weird irrational fear of like weird men being on my bed without me knowing it.
Weird, dude.
Super weird. But yeah, I mean, those scenes are great. But the floating part especially is like, there's a lot of levitating in this.
What was another movie we were like super creeped out by floating?
The Craft.
Oh,
it's just like so. It's because it's so unnatural, and it just something
the Benny
about it.
One is really scary because, and I like that. I love that part in that scene where Luke Perry's like, he's like, man, are you on something? He's like, nope. And then he meant like drugs, but also like, is he standing on anything? Because he's like floating.
No,
first
he
of
meant
all,
the ledge. I thought,
but it was kind of like a double entendre because it could mean like both things. But then what's the part where he says like,
he's like, come on, man, you're floating.
Yeah, no, because he's like, let me in, because you know vampires. Okay, so they do a funny, kind of cool thing in this movie is that they don't like obviously tell you the rules of vampires. It just sort of like is. They're basing it that you know basically what those are, and then they just leave them as like little tiny hints around the movie, right? So you have like this part where Benny is just like obsessing, being like, let me in, and then the part at the end where like the seniors had to be like invited in, and she does actually ask Merrick at one point, don't they have to be like invited in? But I always thought that was like such an interesting thing about vampires, that they can't, if you're in your house, just like break in your home and get you.
I feel like it's not one that's often utilized nowadays.
I only ever like remember it because if you've ever read Salem's Lot by Stephen King, that's like one of the creepiest scenes. It's very actually similar to that, where it's like someone he knew comes to the window and is like, let me in. Oh my God, it's so scary.
Kid.
Or it's like a little
kid.
kid. Yeah,
he's
it's
like
this
scratched.
kid.
Ugh.
Oh, it's so scary.
It's so scary.
So then there's this Benny part. But then they also do it with like, as Sweetie said, like the reflections in the mirror, right? And the car mirror. But then they also have one where Benny is in a photo booth, and that's how he figures out who Buffy is. But then he gets out of the photo booth, and it's just like all the photos are blank. So they do it kind of like
there's
cleverly.
that, the holy water, crucifix, no garlic.
No garlic.
In this part.
The stakes to the heart.
Yeah, but yeah, all the good mythos of the vampire.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, definitely that like floating scene is like, ew. And like, David Arquette always plays kind of like, I don't know, like a dumb, annoying person.
Yeah.
And he's pretty dumb and annoying in this too. But he was kind of like just a dumb like kid. But he looks really scary with those vampire teeth. Like that would give me fucking nightmares. And I don't know what that would be like to see your friend. Like, I mean, they were pretty good friends, right? Like suddenly being like wants to kill you. Like, ooh,
that sucks. Bad luck.
Yeah. Bad luck.
Yeah, so scary scenes, blah blah blah. Done with that. So we forgot to mention that Hilary Swank is in this, and she plays the bitchy girl in Buffy's friends. I mean, they're all pretty bitchy, but she's by far the bitchiest. And like there's just this, you can tell that like she wants to be kind of top dog of the group and like tries to like undercut Buffy even though she knows she's not as pretty.
Cool.
Yeah,
I know. And that's sad.
So but
though she's a beautiful woman.
But she plays a really good bitch.
She's okay.
And
You can tell that she's going to be a 2-time Oscar winner from this role. I'm telling you. I mean, maybe this is with a huge amount of hindsight, but like she nails it.
yeah, I mean,
She's such a bitch.
and it's funny that like she never really went back to that character type in like, and I can't think of any film roles where she was pretty bitchy in the next Karate Kid, but for a different reason. But she just plays this so well. Also, a few other delightful cameos we would just like to bring up. Well, maybe just one. One other?
Well, I can do a couple.
Okay. So our favorite, by far, is a little man by the name of Ben Affleck.
Oscar award winner.
Has a cameo in this movie as a basketball player for the opposing team. So in this scene, the vampire, the guy that took a shortcut through the old amusement park, great idea, gets killed by Paul Rubens and then turns into a vampire. But I guess they never found his body or whatever, so people just thought he just like wasn't showing up to school, which I'm like, didn't his parents report him as missing? A lot of
How long
questions.
ago was that?
So he shows up to the game as a vampire.
What's his name? Grueler?
It's like his last name, maybe?
Yeah.
But so he obviously starts like causing mayhem. And he gets out on the court and does all these scary things. So then Ben Affleck like has the ball, and Grueler like comes up to him and is like, and like hisses at him with his scary teeth. And Ben Affleck like makes this like grossed out face and is like, ugh, and like just hands him the ball. Like,
take it, man. He's like, just take it. Oh my God, it's so funny.
Best role by far.
Well, did anyone watch in your science class in middle school, Voyage of the Mimi?
Yes.
Okay, so that was like Ben Affleck's first role for me. Oh my God. I don't really remember it that much, except it was boring as fuck. And I had this really lazy science teacher who would just slap that video on and be like, okay, I'm going to go out like smoke some butts.
I remember it taught us about like buddy breathing, like scuba diving or something. I don't know.
It was just like boring marine like kind of stuff.
No
Anyway,
cares.
But yeah, good call, Ben
good
Affleck.
cameo.
Other random cameos, Ricky Lake as a waitress. That was one we noticed this time around. That guy from Office Space who's like obsessed with, he gets like put in the basement and is obsessed with the stapler. He's the teacher. Good call.
Principal, right?
Oh, he's the principal.
Yeah, that's why he's giving people detention
he's like
slips.
the guidance counselor or something.
I don't think so.
Okay. Anybody else?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else we like noticed. Do you know Alyssa Milano was supposed to play Buffy?
No.
That'd have been interesting.
She's in Charmed. She's like Buffy adjacent.
Yeah,
maybe
adjacent. Yeah. What else? I said it was kind of, this movie reminded me as in, it was what? When was Clueless? 97?
95?
What?
I think so.
So 3 years later, Clueless came around, because this like smacked so much of, well, Clueless is later, so maybe like just took some of those like, not that you need to take the Valley Girls or like the ditzy girl from LA stereotype, but it felt like so similar to me at the beginning when they're like all at the mall.
But I think that was just like a trope in the 90s.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Earth Girls Are Easy, same thing. It's like, just the Valley Girl was like a funny thing to do. Yeah, Earth Girls Are Easy was 88, so that was like prior to the 90s even.
Oh, but I feel like by the time the 90s came around, it wasn't really like, Valley Girl wasn't necessarily like what it was. It was just, it became more of that. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I only just went to like LA for the first time in my 34th year of life.
I didn't see any Valley Girls. I'm very upset.
What the fuck?
Maybe because we didn't go to the Valley per se.
Yeah, we really weren't in the Valley. But what I like about this movie, and that once reading the trivia, okay, so I have not seen like any of the Buffy TV show, and I know that people are huge fans of that. They love Joss Whedon.
You want to say Joss Stone so bad, don't you?
Joss Whedon. And I've actually seen like none of his stuff. So I think like people are real Joss Whedon people, which is like good for you, whatever. But when someone says Buffy to me, this is what it means. Like I have no connection to the show at all, like whatever. And Joss Whedon like wrote this. So Buffy, the concept of Buffy has always been his idea. And so this is his original screenplay and writing, and but hated it and like wanted really no part of this movie. which I'm kind of bummed about because I really like it. And I like what they did with the sense that she was like we were saying, kind of like a dumb California girl, but then found a deeper part of herself. And they do a good job, I feel like, of like painting her as the least like ditzy of her friends. Like she does come back with like kind of like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that, guys, or this or that. So there is like a deeper part of her. So you realize like, okay, it's not like a total out in left field that she could be the Slayer. Because the deeper part of her was because she had this like reincarnated spirit of this vampire Slayer, right?
Yes.
But I just like how they did it, like, you know, kind of like what Sweetie was saying at the beginning, that like you can be pretty and kick butt.
Like know. Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Well, actually, like, what are we saying? Like, you have to be pretty to kick butt is basically like the Hollywood standard.
Yeah, but I want to be pretty, and I don't care.
You don't want to be pretty and dumb, like that. You mean that like it reinforced that like a type that's like, well, you can still be hot, but
well,
like,
I think it's interesting that
physically
they like, a few times in this they like put her in shorts and like jeans and like try to like really like masculine her up. And then there's like some lesbian slurs thrown in there occasionally. But then by the end, like I guess, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like the melding of the dress with the leather jacket to me says like you can still be a girl and kick butt. Not that all girls need to like be pretty and wear dresses. I'm not saying
wasn't that the dynamic of the 90s?
Yes.
Was like a real confusing thing too, because you were like, you had all women basically dressing like kind of what we think of as masculine with the boots and the plaid shirts and all that stuff. And like, and all the like, even if you wore dresses, it was like kind of like a printed floral mess. Like it wasn't like, it was like we were leaving that sort of girly stuff behind.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, like the 90s was about sort of this like mishmash of like that kind of those things. Okay. But that's my favorite, but good call on that. Like I like how like, yes, the dress with the leather jacket. I never even thought about it like that. And I like how it always, I mean, I love that scene, the prom scene in general. I always loved her dress. I thought that was like the coolest thing. Oh my God.
I only like the top of it because it makes her boobs look giant.
Yeah, it does. But it was kind of like a wedding dress in like a sense. But it was so cool because she has like kind of short hair, like a little shorter than shoulder length. But she like gets this fake bun and like puts it all slicked back like it's formal, which was so cool. And then she wears the boots with it, which I always thought was like, I would never do that. That's not my style at all. But I always think that is so cool to have that like juxtaposition.
So I feel like she was prepared
tough and girly
in some way to like that something was going to happen, but she didn't bring any stakes, which is like kind of weird. Yeah. But yeah, it's a good scene. Great scene.
It's time for Sweetie advertising.
Yeah, Sweetie, spot some dope shit.
There's a girl that's been on my mind all the time. Studio.
Wow.
Whoa.
Sweetie. Speaking of studio,
she don't
sweetie,
even know my.
Yeah.
Speaking of studio,
Yeah.
I got a pretty cool package in the mail yesterday.
What?
It was headphones.
Oh.
From Studio.
What's Studio?
Studio is a headphones company from Sweden, and they're basically no big deal, but revolutionizing the way that people see headphones.
How so?
Well, they're not just a tech device, but they're also an accessory. So they're using their like Scandinavian cool design and then also providing a product that matches the highest rated headphones on the market for a fraction of the cost.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure me and Phil would be really into that.
Phil
Collins.
So if you're interested in getting some, for once, decent headphones that hold up and that look cool as cool things are, I was going to swear, but I wasn't sure if that was allowed. Head on over to studiosweden.com and use the promo code LARGEMARGE. This is going to give you guys 15% off. It's a pretty good discount. Pretty good. Yeah, so check out Studio and Studio. Oh, yeah. Sweetie ads, yeah. So I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Number one, would you wear your cheerleading outfit with the blue leggings or no? Please explain your answer.
Well, I thought that was like the modesty aspect of that cheerleading uniform.
Yeah.
You mean the official one when they're like at the game?
Well, yeah, I got confused because in the first scene, some of them have the blue leggings on and some of them don't. So I thought it was a choice. And
You
I
think
thought,
that's blue? I think that's purple.
it's like a, I don't know.
That's like if you ever
like this
ask people,
color.
is this blue or purple? That's like more purple to me.
Oh yeah, that's purple.
Yeah.
But this
That's more
outside
purple to me.
color is more
no,
blue.
but it's very
looking.
if like
like
people.
grape.
Okay, one time I had this like basically what I would call like a royal blue sweater, which royal blue is like almost nearly purple. And I was at a house party and I like made it a mission of myself to like go around to every person at the house party and be like, is this blue or is this purple? Wow. Funny thing.
You must have been the most popular girl at the party.
I was. All of the boys said it was blue. All of the girls said it was purple.
Because girls have like a more
That's what I said.
Detailed array of colors to choose from.
I know.
Guys just see like 4 basic ones.
Oh yeah, guys don't know anything. No. It's crazy, and so many guys are colorblind, and they like don't even like. Well, they
realize
know,
it.
but like they don't even like
not
communicate
always.
it.
Yeah,
because
it's
that's
crazy.
Like, yeah. Anyway, interesting.
Yeah,
But
So-
that was so they're the Hogs. If you if you recall, like what school's team name is the Hogs? It's the worst ever.
But they have amazing cheers.
Yeah, but they have good cheers. But wait, so I just want to say, so like the cheerleading uniform for California is very modest. So it's like a yellow t-shirt and like what appears to be a skirt, but then Sweetie today was like, I think those are shorts.
Like
so it's a
culottes.
skirt. It's not culottes. Culottes are really long. Those are like knee length, but a skirt, let's say, with like yellow, right?
Yeah.
But then they have to wear a fucking like spandex bodysuit with pants underneath.
Maybe it's just for like the color, because like to get the
So
the
you don't
school
show
colors?
your
I don't know.
midriff, you don't show any of your leg, and it's like, why do you have a fucking skirt on if you have pants
Yeah, it
underneath?
didn't make a lot of sense to me.
So
But-
good for them for showing a little modesty. I
Yeah,
guess.
but good cheers. So everyone loves the cheer during the game. Ready? Okay. How funky is your chicken? How funky is your chicken?
How loose is your goose?
Our goose is totally loose. So come on, all you hog fans. So come on, all you hog fans.
And shake your caboose.
Woo! And shake your caboose. Woo! Good jam. I know the dance too. Maybe we'll post a video later. You'll see.
What about the other one that goes dribble,
dribble, shoot, shoot. Take that ball to the hoop, hoop. Work in progress. Work in
I
progress.
was so bummed that in our high school, not that I did anything involved in my high school. I was a ballet dancer, so I had no time for anything but school and ballet. Mm-hmm. But I was kind of bummed that our cheerleading squad was like pretty much the worst.
Yeah.
Like the cool girls did not do cheerleading.
Nope.
And watching all these movies as a kid, like that's what you're taught, that like basically the coolest girls are cheerleaders. And it was kind of awesome that our school was completely different.
Yeah.
The cool school girls were like the jocks.
We just didn't have really. I mean, we didn't really have cliques like in
I know, we
movies.
say that all the
Our high
time.
school was so different. We didn't even have lockers. Maybe if we had lockers, there would be more of that. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So that's a good question.
What was the question?
Would you wear the leggings
you
or
wear the
not? I
leggings?
thought it was a choice. It's
No.
not. Okay. Question number 2.
Yep.
List some possible reasons why Hilary Swank was not on the cheerleading team.
Good call. She couldn't dance.
That's what I'm willing to bet. But
Like actual Hilary Swank can't dance.
oh, I meant her character.
character.
Like, why wouldn't that girl have been on the cheerleading team? It seems out of character.
Well, okay, and then there's that part. Remember when they're calling her out for like missing shit, and she's like, "Whatever, said you haven't been at cheerleading practice." But the other friend is on the cheerleading squad too.
Yeah. So your point?
But she said the other girl said you weren't at cheerleading.
They
practice.
both are. They're both on the team.
But she only said one girl said she wasn't at practice.
So one of them came up to her and was like, "Buffy's not at practice."
Well, it just confused me because I was
Maybe both
like,
of
"Isn't
them.
that other girl on the cheerleading
Yeah.
squad?" And it
She
would
just
like,
hadn't
why
told her.
weren't they all in the cheerleading squad?
Just Hilary Swank wasn't?
I know. Why wasn't she?
That's the question. So I don't know. Maybe she like her mom wouldn't let her, or
I think
like
it's
she thought it was
Hilary
dumb.
Swank, the person, cannot dance, and they're like, we can't put you in.
Okay,
these
we've
scenes.
all seen the next Karate Kid. She does the waltz with the
That
the
was
karate motions
horrible.
and the cranberry song in the
I bet
monastery.
she has 2 left feet, and that's why. Let's call Hilary Swank up right now.
Hillary, somebody tweet Hilary Swank. We need this. We need this information now. Okay. Third question. Please explain this this quote to me. Imagine the scenario of a real homeless comes up to you and like stops the elevator and tries to get on, and you say, "Excuse much, rude or anything?" What the fuck does that mean? Excuse much, rude or anything.
Are you rude or like they're like, are you rude or something? Why did you stop the elevator?
But should there be? Is there like a comma in there? Like excuse much, rude or anything? I don't know. There's just something in the way that actress says that line that always confused the shit out of me.
I'm more offended that then the line goes on as nice ensemble. So they felt the need to like make fun of his outfit. And then use the word ensemble, which is like almost kind of like a clueless thing again, where you use like big words and you don't like really need to. Funny. And then they go, "What a homeless." Like that was some sort of thing to say.
This again is why I had a hard time understanding the difference between homo and homeless person. I remember I called you a homo one time and Mom yelled at me.
Yes.
And I was...
Why? Was that because of Adventures of Babysitting?
Adventures of Babysitting, and because of this. Like, I thought it was like a telling somebody that they're homeless. Like, you're so homeless. I got confused. I didn't know.
You called me a homo. That's so great.
I know. It's so weird. You homo.
Was Mom like, does Andre know something that I don't?
No. She's just like, what? Thought I heard it somewhere, which I did, and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, okay, next question. How does Merrick get money? Like, where did he get the money to like rent out this loft, to buy a weird hat stand with several hats, have a little bed? I'm unclear on that.
Some people just don't need money.
Okay.
They barter.
But like, is he, so he's always born again as this person that like trains Buffy. Is he born as an old man, or does he get born as a child and then grows up his whole life?
Yes.
That seems so like, I don't know.
No, that's like what reincarnation
Fruitless.
is. And that's what happens to Buffy too. Think about it.
Yeah.
You just like wake up as the person.
Like, he's there to tell Buffy what she is, but like who tells him like what he is?
I don't know. There's another, that's the prequel. I mean,
he just knows.
Merrick's Story is another movie that you could make.
Okay. And my final question.
Yep.
Please explain to me this whole thing about the music stopping being like the key.
Okay. So it seems like to me that Merrick knew that sort of how Lothos gets power over Buffy is this music that he plays. So isn't it in her dreams too, right? So there's this like, that's kind of how he like lulls her. And I bet, I'm like just thinking that that's how maybe she was killed in past lives, that it was something to do with that music and that sort of like hypnotized her into submission, and then he was able to kill her. So he was able to like give her a little hint or something. I don't know if he like figured it out or what. And then that's when she realized it. But the music was only able to stop because the power ran out, because his violin was electric?
No, those are like two separate incidents. Like she only realized the music stopped when the DJ's power went out.
DJ.
That's why it's confusing. I don't, but it's still like not enough of like a key unlocking like this magical chest of like the secret key to beating Lothos, you know? Like I need more.
Well, my question is like, is this just a generational thing? So it's like, while she is a once in a generation, the same person kind of getting born again to like kill all the vampires, is he also getting born again? Because remember, the Paul Rubens vampire is like don't waste your time, like we're immortal, so like we're always gonna come back. We might die this time, but we come back.
It's so depressing.
Because I'm thinking of like the Monster Squad Dracula, and how like he wasn't killed, he just like went to sleep for that however many years and was like in limbo or something, like, right? Where'd he go?
Well, it was like every 200 years, but there's a whole lot of question about that.
Kind of a thing too.
I guess it's just like it just sucks.
But that makes it kind of dumb.
I know.
And like that's why like actually I didn't like that part where when Merrick dies, and also it's the part where like she's not ready yet. So it was never going to be like some spontaneous thing. It was going to be this like planned meeting, almost like a duel of these two people. And I'm like, that's not exciting that you have like this planned time to like get together and see who can kill one another. Yeah. I mean, that's not cool.
And it's like, if you beat him, did the rest of the vampires die?
Right.
Like what happens?
Would you have to kill all the rest of them? And like, right. Like, I don't
get it.
The plot has holes.
Several holes.
Yeah.
But whatever. I thought of another really a good question, but I don't remember now. Okay, so favorite lines. Do you have any lines that you remember from this that you used in your everyday life or anything like that?
Man, I have like so many notes here, and I haven't even really like talked about them. Wait.
Cool podcast.
Well, I just wrote down all the Valley Girl lines, which is like pretty funny to me. So maybe I don't know if I remember these as ones like I remembered, but can I just say them?
Yeah.
Okay. So I already talked about nice ensemble, which is, I guess it was cool to like make fun of what people were wearing. It's like the biggest dig. So
Certainly.
interesting. Sure. What a homeless. Probably wouldn't say that ever. Kind of horrible. What a sitch. That was kind of an interesting.
And that means situation?
Situation. Yep. Okay. What's your damage? Like instead of what's your deal? Mm-hmm. Interesting. And get out of my facial. Good one.
Pretty good one. The ones I used, I have used at least, is when, so my favorite part of this movie, first of all, Paul Rubens in this is exquisite. What a great role for him. Such a departure from Pee Wee Herman, obviously. But
is it? Because I felt like it was just like Pee Wee Herman as a vampire.
Really?
Yes. Because even when we watched,
I didn't think so.
When we found out that he was the voice and Flooded the Navigator of like,
well, that was clear.
Guy.
No, but this, he was so like rugged.
I only ever see him as Pee Wee.
Yeah.
But he did look strikingly different.
The thing is that like I didn't realize that was him until later in my like teen life. Like when I was a child, certainly not. So I mean, I think that says something like in and of itself. So my favorite part is when he encounters Luke Perry and he tries to he busts arm through his van, Paul Rubens, and like sticks his arm in and is trying to grab Luke Perry. We're unsure of the the reason why he did, the motivation behind doing that. So then Luke Perry hits a tree and then Paul Rubens goes flying off the car, but his arm stays behind. So it rips his cool leather jacket. And he's very upset about this, and he goes, "You ruined my new jacket." And he's so pissed about it. And then he goes to the vampires. He's like, "Kill them a lot." I love saying that. It's whenever I'm super annoyed at somebody, and they're just annoying me, I'll just be in my head, I'll just be "Kill them a lot." I just like saying that. The other one is when Buffy's all proud that she passed the test part. She goes, "Toaster caked him." So whenever I make anything in my toaster, I'm always "Toaster caked him" in my head. So those are the main two ones. My other favorite line is when they're brainstorming ideas for the dance, and they're they decide on the environment. So okay, cool. What are some threats to the environment today? So they all go around and name things. And that scene, the whole scene is great. And they say things, and then Buffy's "Bugs?" And they're "Oh yeah, totally bugs. Yeah, I hate bugs." And then the sort of smart girl, Cassandra, is "What do you guys think about the ozone?" And they all think for a minute, and Buffy's "Yeah, we have to get rid of that." I love that. And I didn't really get it until I was older and understood that joke, but I thought it was pretty clever. It was pretty funny. I like that scene. But yeah, those are my lines. Oh, and then the one I love, I don't think this is funny anymore, but when I was little, I thought this was the funniest line by far, is when in the Pasadena float section, Gruler's about to kill Buffy or whatever, and he goes, "And now I'm a god." And then Luke Perry sticks him with the stake behind and is "And now you're a coat rack."
Yeah. That's pretty lame.
I used to think that was amazing, but now it's so lame.
Okay, this is so embarrassed. I don't know why I keep laughing about this, but there's this part where Hilary Swank is so they're she's on the dance committee, Buffy, and she comes in to meet her friends, and she wants to confide in them as they're her friends and what's going on. And they're "Whatever, Buffy, we know you've been doing other things." And she tells them a little bit about Merrick and stuff, and they're "Ew, you're having an affair with that guy? What is he, 50? Anyway, that's not the funny part to me. There's this part where so then she tells them she's been hanging out with the Luke Perry character. And Hilary Swank goes, "That homeless punk."
That homeless poke.
And like, I think talking about Sweetie Confusion, I thought that was like a slur or something.
You thought it was a homo too, probably.
No, forgetting that his name was Pike. And though she does say like his name is Pike, but for some reason, like the word homeless poke.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Okay. But that scene drives me nuts though, because she never is like, I'm not having an affair with this old man. She never like refutes it. But which was Sweetie Confusion for me when I was little, because I was like, wait, are they having an affair? Because she never says they aren't, and she's so upset when he dies. She's like smelling his pillow, like
he was the father figure. She had absentee parents.
I don't care. That's weird.
I will
she
be
would, like,
your
hang out
father
there.
figure. Put your tiny hands in mine.
Ew. I also love when she's like grieving at the loft and her hair is like super like out of whack, and like it's like, oh, we have to make it look like you've been crying all day. Like, let's like make your hair look terrible.
I forgot a line. I love this one that she goes, "Great, cramps are my cramps are okay." So she gets cramps every time she sees a vampire is about to come, and Merrick describes it as like their unearthliness or something coming like together with her earthliness or something like that. And she's like, "Great, my secret weapon is PMS." That's funny.
Yeah, totes. That's a good line.
Good one.
Oh, and then sorry, I missed this question, and we both had it. Do acrobatics take less time than running across the gym? Such a question. I don't know.
It was just a show off kind of a thing.
But like you see her in that training montage, like practicing this tumbling, and you're like, why do we need to tumble everywhere? Like I feel like, does it? I don't know. I just feel like it's not saving that much time. Whatever.
I feel like it would take longer, but maybe that's not true, because I feel like that is sort of like a trope in action movies where you're like, let me just do some flips over there, or like superheroes, like stuff like that. Any gymnasts out there? Can you tell us if tumbling is actually faster than running? Yeah. To go, or she'll do like a somersault instead of just like a lunge. I just feel like to mentally prepare yourself for a somersault would be like more time than actually just lunging for something.
You would think.
Correct me if
what
I'm
do
wrong.
we know?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh, and on the PMS subject, I thought it's interesting that like he says cramps and her mind goes to PMS, but when Merrick's describing it to her, the symptoms sound more like diarrhea to me.
No, he's like, you felt ill.
Yeah,
like, you felt ill.
So I like cracked up in my head and I was like, what if it was like, what if she got the big D every time like a vampire was around? She'd be like, oh, I'll be right back. Had to go like crap in the side. That'd be awful.
So then the line would have to be, great. My secret weapon is IBS. No, my secret weapon is IBS.
Don't joke about that. The guy just died from complications from IBS.
I basically have IBS.
Michael Knight, you told me.
I know.
Okay, so if we want to talk about That's So 90s, what are some like standout 90s things from this movie?
Okay, so we already talked about the wardrobe, right? So you have a lot of Doc Martens. With socks, a lot of floral prints, a lot of strange hats, 90s sort of cars, a lot of light versions of food and drink, which the most depressing being a light Dorito. Has anyone had a light Dorito? Tell me if you have. Anybody? Do they still sell those?
No, definitely not.
First of all, Sweetie will be the first one to tell you about light chips.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started on fucking... they're
reduced
called light?
Fat.
Oh,
Sorry.
I was like,
that's the other
wrong.
thing. So they used to call everything light then, right? Now that's not really
LIT, which was like a word they made up, right, for food, I guess. Yeah. So reduced fat chips are a hoax, and I hate them. And people are always like, you can't tell the difference. You know what? I can fucking tell the difference. You know why? Because when I eat one of those fuckers, I'm like, this chip has no flavor. And then I say, oh, it's the reduced fat one.
Tell the story.
Thanks a lot.
The story from this summer.
So this summer we had a big party for our sister who came over from Ireland. We got to see her baby. Everybody was all excited. So we had like a big cookout at our mom's house, and our mom's husband went to the store and bought all the food, including the potato chips. And we like go to we get there the night before or whatever, And I like investigate the chip sitch, and I'm like, okay, what's the sitch with the chips? And I look at the bags, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, these are, Mom, why did we get 7
You were in
bags?
like an actual nightmare. It's like, am I dreaming? Like, wake me from this nightmare.
He got 7 bags of reduced fat Cape Cod potato chips. I was so pissed. I was like, what is this? Except he got one bag, of like not a regular barbecue.
And you hoarded it.
Yeah. I just parked myself.
You hid it in the bathroom.
I parked myself in front of those chips and was just like, nom, 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 all mine. But yeah, fuck that shit. But I don't think they make light Doritos, but when I did a search, this image came up. Doritos light nacho cheese.
I've never seen those in my whole life.
So maybe they do still make them. I mean, they make light in like everything.
So gross. But it's true because so this was a Cape Cod chip that we were talking about. And you can tell, like, there's no, like, sheen on them. They look like drier Cape Cod potato chips. Them. Yeah.
Oh, but this reminds me of, wasn't this those, like, reduced fat potato chips in the 90s was, like, the big thing? Yeah. It was, like, the ones that caused anal leaking.
Probably.
Anal leakage.
Yeah.
So like, gross. Olestra or whatever.
My little, like, commissary at my work only sells the reduced fat Cape Cod potato chips. And sometimes I'm like, I've done it a couple times sort of with, like, amnesia, being like, oh, I bet those taste just the same. And then I buy them and go back to my desk and I'm like, no, these are not satisfying.
You know what the worst is? Baked chips. Ugh, baked potatoes. Baked legs.
And you try to convince yourself that like this doesn't even remotely taste like a potato anymore. It
tastes like paper.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Just eat less of them, I guess.
Yeah.
Do the full,
another 90s thing. So Buffy wears a lot of leotards, like as shirts. She always
like a bodysuit,
I guess,
with the snap crotch.
Oh yeah, I guess that's not a leotard. I feel like it would be a
They were all bodysuits, which are coming back now. Just so you know, I've literally almost brought one up to the register, and I was like, nah, they're not fun.
It's just too complicated.
The
you have to like
unsnap.
Is the
literal worst.
No one wants to be like
awful.
A baby.
No,
it's
awful.
But she wears a lot of those and has those like overshirt, what are those like silky kind of shirts. Yeah. Like button ups, and then you would like tie them at your waist.
Tie them.
Yeah,
all
so she did that.
High-waisted jeans.
High-waisted jeans, like a chunky black belt.
Yep.
I don't think this was a 90s trend, but she is fond of wearing like a handkerchief as a necklace in this movie. It's
I think that was part of the like let's toughen her up phase.
Yeah, it's like cowboy. It's like
because she really was wearing dresses and cute stuff from the beginning, and then did really like as soon as she started working out and was like the Slayer, she had to like wear all these like shorts and then started tying all the shirts and then the weird handkerchiefs as necklaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting choice with the cotton. They must have meant something by that. I don't know what.
The collar.
Like, I don't got time for fashion.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. And then also, you said floral, but like those hideous earrings that everyone had with like, they were like sunflower patterned. Maybe just sunflowers in general were a big deal in the 90s. So funny. Strange. What's the flower? What's the flower now? I don't know. Roses? It's always roses. I don't know.
Roses.
But yeah, love the 90s. Love them.
I like how her dream job was a buyer. Like, what the fuck was that?
To buy. But she didn't know what it was.
She didn't even know what it was.
It's like shopping. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is a pretty cool job if you like to shop. I mean, you're spending someone else's money, but like, it's not like you get to like wear the shit. So that's unfortunate.
Buy yourself some things. I'd also like to point out that this movie makes LA seem like a really small town, really small little town, because they always just like bump into people. Like Buffy is chasing after a grueler on a motorcycle and then just happens to ride by Luke Perry fixing his bike on the side of the road. Like, what are the odds? And then like the beginning, they see Luke Perry and Benny at the movies, and then like a week later or whatever, they come into the same little like coffee house that Buffy and her friends are at. Like, what are the odds?
Yeah, that's like super
I just thought that was funny. Anything else you got?
So there's this one part where she goes, okay, so that like loser boyfriend she has, Jeffrey, is just he's just like a weirdo. And I guess they were like boyfriend and girlfriend, but then once she like disappears for a while, he's like, oh, like she's not around, doesn't seem to like me anymore, which like I granted that is like grounds for breaking up with somebody. But like he never runs into her, I guess. So he just breaks up with her machine. And I was like, that's such an interesting concept now, because like that doesn't happen. People either ghost you or they could send you a text as being like, okay, so what is the equivalent of this 2017 version of breaking up with your machine is what? Breaking up with you through text?
I guess.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like people do that, so it's maybe not that weird. I don't know.
But it's like, Jeffrey, like, what the fuck? Like, clearly she was going to see you again. And
I don't know. He made it seem like she just was never around. And I remember she like wasn't coming to school as much, and she was always late. So he never like had a way to tell her that he was breaking up with her. So that was the only thing he could do. I don't know. Right. I'm trying to put myself in his situation, even though I don't want to.
Jeffrey's a dud. He let his friends sexually harass her.
So gross. Yeah, really upsetting, especially in this current climate.
Yes, the friend like touches her butt.
He's like, "Can I borrow her?"
Yeah, and he's like, "Not." And he says though, he's like, "This might sound sexist or something."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Well,
then don't fucking
if you
say
have
it.
to start a sentence with "this might sound sexist," then just don't say it." Exactly, like, loser. All right, so little quickly about Luke Perry. So I forgot like what movie we were talking about. This came up again. And, okay, Luke Perry, known for 90210, Avi, Dylan McKay, Avi. But I feel like if you watch that show, you're either a Brandon girl or a Dylan girl. No one was a Brian Austin Green, David girl. I'm sorry. What? Ugh, no. And I was always a Brandon girl. Brandon was very smart. He was a do-gooder. Like, I was never a bad boy, attracted to the bad boy. I know so many of my friends who were. I remember when the New Kids on the Block came out, and like, most people like Jordan, right? Everyone loved Jordan. Yeah, he was like the clean cut one. Sure. But there was just this like handful of girls who loved Donnie. And I was like, ew, who would like Donnie? But people like bad boys. So like our friend, our sister Liz, Shannon, was like a bad boy lover. My friend Amy Watson, bad boy lover. Rachel from across the street, my summer friend, bad boy lover. There's just some girls who like love that. And I'm like, ick, no. I would never, ever be a bad boy lover. Okay, cool. So then you come to 90210.
Yes.
And Dylan was the bad boy in that show. So some girls like definitely love Dylan. I was not. So seeing him in this movie, I'm like, oh, Dylan, like whatever. But he is super cute. And now I have a huge crush on him like 30 years later.
But only when he came into the dance.
Yeah. So he's pretty like kind of cute the whole movie, but like kind of a scrub. Like I was like, wait, is he a high school dropout or just like an older dude?
We'll never know.
Yeah. We came to the determination that he probably is just older because he does have a job in his own apartment.
But he's like scamming on a high school girl? Like,
yeah. So that's like shady in itself. But I feel like maybe he's like 19. So he just didn't go to college. Maybe he graduated. Sure. Anyway, so, and his name is Pike, which is like, what's up with that? Anyway.
Yeah, I'd like to know more.
Yeah. But he's really brave. And he just like, despite having like, other than a feisty attitude, coming back for those vampires. So good for him.
But part of me feels like he was doing it just to be like, I'm a man here. Like whenever a guy gets saved by a woman in like an action movie, there's always this part of it that needs to like prove like their manliness and be like, I can kill vampires too.
Yeah.
So that kind of annoys me.
I think that was part of it too. But also, don't you think it was because like he really liked her and wanted to keep like seeing her and hanging out with her? Sure. Like, this is our like connection fighting vampires. Yeah. Anyway, so there's this part in which I completely forgot. So like he's like, look, we gotta go fight the vampires basically. And she's like, no, I want to go to my dance. And he's like, what the hell? Why do you want to go to the dance? And she just wants to be normal. So he like rides away on his motorcycle and then decides like, fine, like I'm going to fight the vampires. So that's when he's like, you know, making all the sticks and stuff. But they have this one scene where he's like shaving with a straight razor. And Sweetie was like, he has no facial hair like at all. What is he shaving? Like,
I knew what he was
shaving. Had like a beard. Like,
I knew what he was shaving. He was shaving that little fucking thing.
That's like a weird scene. Oh yeah, he has like a little
what
like,
the fuck?
Soul patch.
What is that called? That's a soul patch? I thought the soul patch was on like the very end. It was like, right under his bottom lip. What is that called? Yeah. And why would you want
soul
one?
Patch? I don't know. It's gross. Anyway, so he like his shaving, and you're like, okay, that's like kind of weird. But then he shows up at the dance. So she had just been rejected. So like the dumb boyfriend is now with another girl. Everyone is slow dancing. I don't know if you've ever been to a dance and you're like not slow dancing. It's the worst. So she's like standing against the wall, like pretty bummed because she's like, wow, like this was my whole life. And now like I don't have anyone to dance with. My boyfriend just broke up with me, like blah, blah, blah. And so Luke Perry comes in and his hair is all like slicked back and like so cute. He's all clean shaven. He has a leather jacket on and a little formal vest underneath, nice pants. And he's carrying a backpack full of steaks. But Like, oh, so dreamy. So, guys, I finally got it. Like 30 years later, why Luke Perry is hot. So that's...
He was too slick. He was too slicked for me. He was just like too slick. So
really like
just
it.
a sidebar on this story is that I went to like refill my wine glass or something, and I missed this part, even though I'd seen it a million times and knew exactly what happened. I come back in the room, and you're like, "Oh my God, sweetie, you have to see this scene." I'm rewinding it. No, close your eyes. Close your eyes. I was like, "Sweetie, I have seen it. I know. I am familiar with the part," but she would not let me. And then she like did rewind, and the rewind setting like on the remote was so slow. It was like a millisecond.
10 minutes later.
It took forever.
But I thought maybe you would have a sexual awakening too. It was like my Devon Sawa
I always
sexual
thought he was like a
awakening,
little
but-
sexy, and so I don't think I needed to be awakened, to be honest. Like, you're talking to the girl whose first crush was on Marky Mark because she saw her older sister's tape, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, and saw him with like his pants pulled down and his like boxer sticking out, and I was like, I want that. So I guess
like that's like I don't know. It's just funny how like it's just so different. People's tastes are so different, obviously, and stuff can just come along at a certain time in your life and be like, wow. I'm, like,
face
really
it,
into
you like
that.
nerds.
But Luke Perry is not a nerd.
No,
in this.
you didn't like him before.
Oh yeah, but now I like Bad Boys. I think that's the thing. That's what I'm
That's
thinking.
what's happening.
Totally.
Wow.
It's a change up, guys. It's a shake up.
Thank you, Luke, for this
Oh my
awakening.
God, where is Luke Perry now? I did kind of stalk his IMDb.
He's doing stuff.
He's in Riverdale now, so awesome. He's actually had consistent work, which is like pretty like rare.
It's more than I can
so
say for
awesome.
somebody else.
So yeah, very depressing. So let's talk about Kristi Swanson. So coming out of this, obviously you're like, Kristi Swanson is the coolest. Like she is amazing. But she didn't like really do that much stuff. The only thing I remember her doing is that movie with Charlie Sheen where they have sex in the front seat.
Whoa. What movie's that?
Getaway something.
Is she
And she
on
was
a
in Dude, Where's My
motorcycle?
Car?
Oh.
Oh yeah, I forgot she was in Ferris Bueller. Remember that
Yeah,
part?
she's like a random the part.
My
that-
brother's sister's cousin.
Yeah, it's a great line.
Classmate.
Was it called? She was in Pretty in Pink too.
What?
As a duckette,
Oh
so
my
someone that likes
God.
Ducky, I guess. Is the movie you were thinking of?
Wait.
She was in Flowers in the Attic. What? Who said that?
Oh, I just saw that movie.
No. Growing Pains.
Oh.
You saw Growing Pains.
Yeah.
So she was in that movie Flowers in the Attic. Remember?
Yeah.
Scary.
Wow.
And then wait, Diving In? No, that's about diving. Where's the motorcycle one? Highway to Hell? Hot Shots?
She's in Hot Shots? No, it was after this.
The Chase.
Yeah, she was in The Chase. Anyone remember this? So like, Charlie Sheen is like a convict or something and steals her car, but then she's like ends up falling in love. I think she's like a hostage and like she goes on the chase with him. But they have this scene where they have sex and when he's driving, it's so dangerous. I mean, you would die. It's crazy, but it's like kind of like a hot scene, but also you're
man.
like, ew, Charlie Sheen, like nasty.
She's in that movie Higher Learning, which was like one of John Singleton's movies where like, and it was like Michael Rappaport is like the guy, he like shoots everybody up on the tower. Tyra Banks dies. Tyra Banks is in it, but yeah, Kristi Swanson's in it.
Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, everybody's in it. She's like a little bit of a lesbian stitch, but then like ends up getting raped.
Ice
It's crazy.
Cube is in
Oh my
it?
God, I fucking love this movie, but it's like it's good. You'll be woke.
Lawrence
You'll be woke.
Fishburne.
Yes.
Regina King.
Yes.
Busta Rhymes.
John Singleton. It's like, yeah, look it up. Watch
I
it.
want to watch this.
But yeah, it's about kids at college basically, and like this whole like thing on race and
Wow.
women and stuff like that. And Tyra Banks is in it, so like, what's not to love? Yeah. So Kristi Swanson not doing anything anymore. Lifetime movies. I think she's a Republican. Sad.
Yeah, so her whole thing is Lifetime holiday movies, which is like, wow, God.
I feel like that's what they're like. Candace Cameron did that too.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the super religious people are like, that's the only thing they can do. That's like safe. I don't know.
Also, fun fact: she married Lloyd Eisler, who I don't know if you remember. He's a famous pair figure skater, and he won maybe even a gold medal with Isabelle Bressor. Remember, they were like this really they did all these crazy stunts because he was really, really, you know, as usual, pair figure skating goes, he was really, really tall and she was really, really tiny, and he could just like throw her everywhere. And apparently they met on the celebrity skating show, basically the Dancing of the Stars with ice skates.
Yeah, I remember it. I watched it. Yeah. It was great, but it was like really scary because nobody could fucking do it. Like, what a bad idea.
That's an awful idea.
Yeah, like what about the guys that were like celebrities that had to pick up the professional women? Like, sketchy. Would not trust them. I think Joey Gladstone was in it too. Yeah, but he was like a skater.
I remember they did do the babiest lifts though. They didn't do like huge ones, but
good times.
Oh, because Joey could skate because he was a hockey player, Canadian.
Yeah,
is Kristi Swanson Canadian? No,
I don't think so. Anyways, so I guess that's it. I guess we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
Anyways, we love this movie. I still love it.
Oh, it's so good.
I still enjoy it.
It's great. It's just funny. I think the writing is pretty decent. Like there's some really good laughs.
Clever. There's clever parts.
Yeah, there's a lot of clever parts. It's such a different take on vampires, right? Because like mostly vampire stuff is scary and serious, and I felt like this like took it to like a really like a more humorous level, let's say.
Sure.
And I like that about it.
Yeah, and as we know today, like what we do in the shadows, etc., like vampires can be very funny, and it's funny to make fun of. The Dracula Den loving it, like it's hilarious. Right. But yeah, good times. I'm so glad we finally got to watch it.
Yeah,
guys.
We're still working on the DVD player, you know, because what's the other one? Oh, Now and Then we're really struggling to do too. That's the one we can't rent either, right?
Yep. So we'll have to finagle away to get that. So next time we house it, we'll rent it and we'll do it. We'll do it,
you'll
guys.
get Now and Then in a year.
Someday. Anyways, so yeah, thanks for listening, you guys. Please follow us on Twitter at The Sweetie Club.
Please.
Follow us on Instagram at Large March Sent Us.
Peas and carrots.
Just keep being awesome.
I keep saying that for please now. I go peas and carrots, like please. That the peas is the please. It's kind of weird.
It's so weird. Okay, cool.
All
well,
right.
talk to you later. Bye.